All right, guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of the CX Chronicles podcast. Super excited for this one. Kacey Tolua is joining us on the show. Kacey, say hello to the CX Nation for me.
Well, hello.
So, guys, Kacey is got an awesome background, awesome story. She's a strategic thought leader, and she is an expert in technology, right? She's spent her career thinking about technology, thinking about teams, and thinking about what every one of us is here at Customer Contact Week doing this week, which is thinking about how do we take care of our customers and how do we build incredible customer experiences. So, Kacey, I'm pumped to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Why don't you take the first couple minutes as we start off all these episodes? Let's hear the stepping stones for Kacey. Let's hear maybe some of the early things that got you into this space and into this type of a world, and what made you want to work with customers and with customer-facing teams for your career?
Well, that's actually a really interesting question. If I think about the stepping stones and what brought me in, ironically, I had a fall down the stairs and I had to relearn how to walk and talk again.
Whoa.
And so I had to go through a lot of occupational therapy.
Okay.
I had to start over with vowels. And so it was interesting to me that my girlfriends in the neighborhood as I was recovering was like, hey, you should come and work at this contact center so you can practice talking because you won't be able to see them, they won't be able to see you.
Yep.
And I said, well, what's it like? And they said, well, basically we get to sit and visit all day, but sometimes we have to answer phone calls. And I was like, I'm in. Like, let's do this.
That's awesome.
So that's actually how I started.
That's amazing. And thank you for sharing that, Kacey.
Yeah. And in the first week that I was there, they came into the training room and they said, does anyone in here have folio database experience from accounting?
Okay.
3 of us raised our hand, and we were able to go out to Crawfordsville, Indiana.
Yep.
And be able to, the 2 others left, but I was able to single-handedly bring back the entire Microsoft official curriculum, financial program for the company that I worked for, and I brought it back and transitioned it back to Utah.
That's amazing.
So that's kind of where it started, which was unexpected, but that's kind of how I like life, is you roll with the punches.
You 1,000% roll with the punches, and number one, amazing for you to like take such a what could be such a difficult experience and turn that directly into this incredible, positive, like forward focused type of movement. Awesome. That's fantastic for you, Kacey.
Thanks, Adrian. I think the other thing is that I had amazing advocates and mentors very early on. So I brought this department back, and it was in a contact center, and they had this position that they opened 3 roles that were going to run the whole contact center.
Okay.
And I was young, and I got called into the office, and the leader said, are you going to apply? And I said, oh, no. Like, there's a whole bunch of other levels above me that are going to apply for those. And she gave me one of the best pieces of advice. She said, let me tell you something. She's like, in all of your life, if someone's going to tell you no, don't let it be you.
Yep.
So I did, and I got it. So age 25, I'm managing a contact center with 2 other individuals, and from there it just kind of took off. So.
That's amazing. So first of all, I've had the pleasure of meeting so many incredible customer-focused business leaders like you that have, number one, raised their hand, so you're spot on. You're not going to get anything in life just sitting back and waiting for it. You got to go get pretty much everything that you want, folks. So don't forget that. It's never just the overnight success like instant TikTok.
Yeah.
It's usually 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
And it is over 30 years for me. And it has been consistently in the contact center industry.
Yep. That's amazing. Kacey, I'd love to spend a couple minutes kind of picking your brain on the first pillar of team. I know that you've worked at all these incredible places and you've worked at all these awesome organizations, but spend a few minutes kind of thinking about, you started early, you got into having these big roles at a young age. How do you kind of think, just take a couple minutes to talk about some of the things that you've kind of thought of, or that you've had to do in your own journey, or things that have really kind of, you think have maybe set you apart and enabled you to be able to have the successful career you had. Spend a few minutes just kind of talking about that first pillar of team.
Sure. Well, I was raised really well to work super, super hard.
Where was home for you?
Well, I was born in Samoa in the South Pacific Islands, and then I was adopted by an American family. So my brothers are 6'4" blondes, and I grew up in Idaho.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But in Idaho, it was very exciting. We worked really hard. So I would say being able to work really hard, but I joke around a lot, and I love to have fun. Yeah. And that's actually been something that's really important to me. I think you get drawn to the people that kind of resonate and bring out the best version of you.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for the strong leaders who are motivational, work really hard and get the results, relentless in that. business ethic,
Yeah.
but also being able to have fun.
I agree. Two couple things. Number one, the working hard, that is just like, that's like a given, right? You again, like number one, you got to have some gall to get up and to put your hand up or to get into the line or to get into the ring or whatever you want to call it. But number two, it's the hard work. It's not just the time. It's the hard work. It's putting countless hours, countless days, countless weekends, especially in our space.
Yes.
All of us customer-focused business leaders, we got to work on holidays. We got to work on weekends. We've all done it at different points of our career. But the last piece is just what you just said, and I love that you called this out right in the beginning of the episode. Guys, we spend more time with our coworkers
Yes.
than with our family and our friends and our spouses and our children. And if you can't figure out how to make work fun, and if you can't figure out how to have a good time with people that are your business associates or your teammates, good luck. I think it's going to be harder for you because people like working with people that can turn that pro or that serious switch on. But then when you got the little bit of a downtime, you got the internal team meetings, the safe zone areas.
Yes.
Have some fun
Oh,
with
you
your
flip that
They're like
badge
your
around,
family.
it's
like your
HR
work family.
free zone, you're ready to go. I think when it comes to teamwork, I did the strengths finders, I've done all of those things to better understand. So I do think it starts with better understanding ourselves first.
Yeah.
But I had this thing where it said I was a strategic pessimist, and I was like, what does that mean? But it just means that I looked at every possible thing that could go wrong, and I strategically did anything I could to proactively prevent those things. And in a team, it was being able to optimize on each person's skills.
Yeah.
Not only their skills, but their passions.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to enjoy something, even if they didn't know how to do it, that was where they were driven.
Right.
So the teamwork to me is like looking around the room and saying, okay, we have the impossible ahead of us.
Yeah.
How do we make it happen?
Totally.
Who's the captain? Who's not? And where do we go?
I love it. It's funny hearing you say that the strategic pessimist. I find people like us that have spent years working with customers, working with teams, working in different businesses. I have that bit of that too because like people will get on me for being negative about something, and I'll say I'm not being negative. I can just see 14 steps down the process line.
Oh, and I love to play chess. Do you play chess?
I do play chess.
Yes.
I grew up playing chess with my dad, and like chess is exactly. If you're seeing multiple steps ahead, it's not about being negative. It's not about being difficult.
No.
It's about vision where you can see where certain things are about to go, and then you're starting to align or realign and almost like reprioritize what's going to come next.
Yes.
Or figure out what your solutions are that are going to be in line.
And I think a good team is one who protects themselves. So if you can think ahead and look for those, then you can protect your team.
I love that.
more
I mean, you see,
effectively.
Kacey, I talk about sports analogies all the time.
Oh, I love sports.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what you just said right there, like you've heard the term for years, loose lips sink ships, right? Every championship team in football and baseball and there's something true about that, right? It's oftentimes the guys and the gals that get to the end of a sporting season, regardless of what their sport is, that they kick ass and they win a championship. It's because of the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the sisterhood. They form a familial bond. They don't let any of the negative BS from the outside come in. They're literally focused on each other. They're focused on what's in front of them. That's the same stuff in business, guys. It's the same type of team building dynamic and leadership type of dynamic that works in business. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love it. So, okay, so in terms of, I'd love to kind of move a little bit in a different direction, second pillar of tools. You have gotten the pleasure and the luxury, or maybe it's not, but the fortune of working with like almost every one of the major SaaS solutions out there. You've worked in call centers for 30 years. You've seen CRMs, you've seen issue resolution management systems, you've seen telephonics, you've seen the whole 9 yards. I want to hear you break it down for a couple of minutes. Spend like just a few minutes kind of talking about what are some of like the biggest, either the challenges that you've had to kind of endure in your career, or maybe how you've sort of converted it into the way that you sort of think about what it takes for a business founder or a business executive to really make the right investment and really have the right types of tools sitting in his or her tech stack so that they can really kind of push their business into the future.
It's a very compelling question. I do have the experience. At one point in my career, I worked at eBay for 12 years, and I had the privilege of working with a team of less than 20, where we launched the very first global CRM database solution.
Nice.
So it's a pretty exciting journey. And now where I work, I'm the senior director at Marriott International. So I am in the CEC technology space, and I lead all of the Center of Excellence products.
Wow.
So that's training, quality, workforce management, knowledge management, business speech analytics, all of the operational efficiencies like Agent Assist, and then the custom applications. And then I also lead out all of the global infrastructure for our CECs worldwide. So what I would say when I think about technology, ironically, although I give you this long list, it really starts with change management.
Okay.
It starts with the experiences of, one, the company is really honing in on what does the company want to deliver, and then two, what is the experience for the frontline agents
Yep.
and for the guests.
Yep.
If we can remember to keep that
Yeah.
in scope,
Yeah.
it is such a fun space to explore technology, see where it can take us, never fully replace, but to really honor the purpose and the meaning that our frontline agents bring to the table.
Yep.
For each of those touch points and those meaningful interactions.
I love that. You know, it's funny. I think I talk about this a lot on the show, Kacey, but me and you haven't talked about it today. So I want to get your ideas on this. But like, you think about all the incredible solutions or the software, the technology that's out on this floor this week here at CCW
Yes.
that you and I have had the pleasure of meeting with and interacting with. You know, what a lot of folks don't realize still is globally in the next 5 years, companies are going to be spending almost $750 billion per year on software. And Kacey, what you just said is you said, you know, Adrian, all this stuff, regardless of all the fancy stuff that you got out there, like, keep in mind, it still comes down to like, what are the touch points? What are the things that matter for both your customer and your employee? And then how do you deliver and serve so that you're like giving people the satisfaction, right? Getting that money and getting that money in the door. But what's funny is like, it's funny, like a lot of companies still struggle with their technology utilization. A lot of companies still struggle with understanding what are the short lists of the optimal solutions they should even be thinking about. How have you kind of navigated that throughout your career? And has there been any ways that you've been able to sort of keep on top of some of the emerging technology that you should be thinking about? Or has it been just using events like this or using some of these trade shows to be able to listen and to learn or to network, even to meet with other awesome guys and gals that are doing the same type of thing, running other call centers, running other large customer contact units? How have you kind of just kept ahead on keeping track of all the things that are going on with the technology that we have out there today?
I have a tremendous amount of tremendous amount of curiosity. I love innovation. I love watching minds open up and think of the impossible. That is definitely a space I love. So, you know, we can say Customer Contact Week this week, but I love CCW. I love what it brings. It brings in the best of the best.
Totally.
Around the space.
Yep.
But I don't do my homework in one weekend. I am constantly looking at what's out there, whether I'm reading about it or I'm meeting with folks or I'm listening. And yeah, I will be one of those people that if I feel like a white paper is meaningful enough, I will spend the 25 minutes to sit through a demo and say, show me what you have. What are those new things? Really, when it comes down to it, is I look at a lot of different factors. So is it real time? Because if it isn't real time, we're probably in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
Because it doesn't match the needs of at least the experiences that I want to deliver for guests or customers. If it isn't in real time, it's not going to be what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I am always looking for who has the privacy, who has the PII, who
Yeah.
has the security. Data security is super critical to me, but who is continually growing. So maybe I'll look at somebody who has a very low presence
Yeah.
in the industry today. I'm following them.
Yeah, right.
I'm watching them
Yeah.
from afar
Yep.
and being able to look at those opportunities. But in a space like this, it's really like who's got the most sophistication, who can handle the stability at an extremely large scale,
Yep.
and who can prove out the actual results.
Yeah, I love it. We've had some pretty amazing folks come through these doors the last couple of days, you included. Almost every one of you guys said something. You almost used your own tongue, your own words on exactly what you just said, which is we are in this ridiculous point in time right now where, look, certain companies, number one, companies are evolving, scaling, and changing at a rapid pace. I mean, it's becoming the normal now to see a company that's like an idea or it's seeded today and then 5, 6, 7 years from now, it's going public on a
Yep.
on a market, right? And then
Or vice versa if they didn't adapt.
or going away.
Yes.
And just extinct.
Yes.
And out of the, totally. And it's funny because I just think like, and then somebody that we had in here earlier today, we had Shara, who is the one of the co-founders and COO of Sanasan, and he said something which was this hall today. This CCW. He's been here, he said, for this last 7 years in a row. Is this your first CCW?
Absolutely not.
I know you've been to one. How many have you been to?
I think this is my 4th year,
Nice.
and then also being inducted into the CC Women Hall of Fame last year.
Congratulations, by
Thank
the way.
you.
That's awesome.
I'm here for life.
Yeah.
This is definitely a high value for me to be able to come and learn.
I think so. One of the things that is amazing to hear you say that, and what Shiraz said today, is this venue keeps getting smarter, more sophisticated, sharper, tighter, faster, all the things, all the good positive stuff you want to throw in there. And number one, it speaks a lot about our industry. It speaks a lot about the guys and gals that are showing up here
Yes.
to get better, to improve, to build out their own playbook, and then go back home and deliver whatever they're trying to deliver, whatever their goals or their strategic objectives look like. But that's pretty awesome to hear that you're seeing it the same way.
I do love it. I would also say part of the tactic that I take is that I don't listen. I just don't buy into the noise. So there's a lot. You're going to hear everybody can do a whole bunch of different things, but it's really just staying true
Yeah.
to what you want to get out of it, what outcomes you're driving for. The other thing I would say is I don't come in with, can all of these technologies meet my strategic vision over the next 3 to 5 years? Because as you mentioned before, if I were to define that right now, I would be behind
Yeah.
in 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
And so the ability to come in and be open-minded and say, I know what I want to deliver, I know what experiences I want to bring along the way. I'm looking for technology solutions that will enable that journey
Yep.
to grow.
I love that. I think that's so brilliant. Casey, I'd like to pick your brain on process for a bit. So like, every company does a little bit different, whether it's the way they manage their knowledge base, whether it's the way they build their living playbooks, whether it's the way that they task certain directors and leaders to build out your SOPs, all that fun stuff.
Yes.
Stuff that normally, I joke around on the show all the time. I know the process is probably the least sexy of the 4 pillars, but it's the glue, it's the cement, it's the rebar, whatever you want to call it, for keeping the other pillars together.
Technology.
Definitely.
So you can do end-to-end flows and
Yep.
value stream mapping and everything like that, but really if you don't tie it from the highest level of
Yep.
process down to the data fields
Yep.
and the objects that you're looking at, you will miss something along the way.
Totally agree. I love hearing you say this, and I knew I liked you as soon as you walked in here today. But guys, Casey's right. Like, people can roll their eyes or they can nod their heads around the idea of customer or user journey or mapping or user design or experience design. The bottom line is what Kacey just said is spot on. If you're not taking the time to meticulously go through and lay out all of those different various components, how they connect, and to be more specific, how does a customer become aware of your product? How do they consider your product? How do they even think about converting into becoming a paying customer or a paying user of your product? How do you onboard them so that they know what the hell to expect downstream? How do you manage your account management? How do you manage your support, your loyalty, et cetera? Think about how many things I just rattled off in 30 seconds right there. That is
Yes.
extremely complex. And then you start talking about some of these global businesses that you've had the fortune of being able to serve, like the scale that comes into it, and then the people complexity of just not the customers, but the employees. And some of these companies that you've had the fortune to work for, they have soccer arenas of employees alone. So you start to lay all those complexities out, and you actually can map them. You start to see very quickly areas of overlap. You start to see very quickly milestone moments where it's like, wait a minute, if we nail these 2-3 things every time here, 9 out of 10 times, even on 1 million customers, we're going to be pretty golden. And then you start to, there's something about the tribal knowledge or the internal visibility piece, as I've done more of this work with customers across the world, like, then you start, there's almost like an understanding that starts to rise where maybe product didn't realize that support was doing something
Right.
a certain way because it literally helps them get through the next 100,000 tickets a certain way.
Yes.
Or maybe sales finally realizes, hey, remember when we told you guys keep churning off this exact same segment? Here's another 100 of them that we're trying. So like, it shows like visibility, and it's about collaboration and sharing how the whole team can get better at running the business and serving customers and making money, right?
I so agree with you, Adrian. To me, I think sometimes it makes folks squirm in their seat a little.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, I'm technology, I am the heart of this. And others will say, I'm operations, I am the heart. But I have managed and been the head of training and quality. I have done the continuous improvement. I've done a lot of corporate roles.
Yeah.
And it really ties back to where we started, which was the teamwork and the collaboration.
Yeah.
Because if you look at process, and you care about your people and
Totally.
then look into the technology,
Yep.
it really enables everyone has a role. Everyone has something they bring to the table,
Yep.
and it just allows us to all to have the same conversation at the same time.
I love it. I love it. Kacey, I want to slide into the fourth and the final pillar of feedback. Spend a couple minutes kind of talking about how you sort of managed your customer feedback or your employee feedback over the years. Has there been a couple ways you've kind of always gone about doing it? Is there a sort of a tried and true method that you sort of have? I'd just love to hear you kind of talk about feedback for a little bit.
Well, I think that back in the day, it was about making the customer fill out a survey, which to me, in today's day and age, it doesn't make sense. Because if AI can do a self-service and you can resolve within 30 seconds,
Yep.
why would we require somebody to fill out a survey that takes twice as long?
Totally.
And so really, the art of listening is so very important, and it has always been important. And so being able to retain that feedback is very important for us to understand, but it can be more about, sure, we'll always offer surveys, within this industry to allow people to have a voice
Yep.
in the way that they do, but it is being able to be flexible. So am I watching their behaviors? Am I watching the number of hits for certain site pages? Am I watching for when do they hang up on a call in an IVR?
Yeah.
Where are they going? What paths are they taking? And so it's really monitoring by behavior,
Yep.
and then looking at the results of our bottom line.
Yep. I love that. It's just following the facts, following what's happened, making real-time decisions,
Yes.
or making real-time informed decisions around when and where to intervene. I think the one thing is, and me and you were joking about this before we hit record today, but like every single person here is talking about AI. AI is fantastic. AI, I get it. I promise you, I'm a huge fan, but we still need humans
Yes.
with actual intelligence. That's
Yes.
another AI version that know how to leverage it, know how to use it, and know how to actually kind of hit stop, hit pause, or intervene when the tech that we are building, that all of us do love so much and that all of us have invested so much in, isn't working or doesn't do the right thing. And that's a big part of where humans are still a huge part of the control of where this AI is going to go. And it's really here to help each one of us. So I love some of those ideas there. Kacey, before I wrap up, I want to ask you a couple personal questions.
Okay.
And I told you I was going to call you
Okay.
out on this. So guys, Kacey is located in Salt Lake City, Utah. I want to hear a motorcycle story from you for our listeners before I let you go. Because you already said it.
I did say it.
I told you I was going to bring it up.
Well, I ride a super sports motorcycle. I'm on my 8th.
That's crazy.
And I love to ride really fast. So my top speed is 170 miles per hour to date. And then, I was saying you've gone to Park City.
Yeah.
So that canyon that you get from the airport to Park City.
It's gorgeous riding. What a gorgeous ride on a bike. It's got to be beautiful.
Well, I don't know because it was 101 miles per hour. So I might not have looked at the mountains.
You were focusing on in between the handlebars, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. Kacey, this has been so awesome. Before I let you go, where can people get in touch with you? If people want to learn more about you, they want to learn more about the work that you're doing, where can people find you? And where can people get in touch with you post-show?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn. That's the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. And I do warmly welcome, as I said, innovation, connecting. I love learning from other people. I love sharing. So I warmly welcome it.
That's awesome. Well, Kacey, thank you so much for joining us today on the CX Chronicles podcast. It's been our absolute pleasure, and I look forward to building a relationship into the future.
Thank you, Adrian.